There she comes. Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is the Trees and Green Infrastructure Committee meeting. Today is June the 9th, 2023. It's 10 a.m. in beautiful downtown Rehoboth Beach and City Hall. We have assembled our group here this morning, those that can make it, and we're going to conduct a discussion of various topics related to trees and, as you guessed it, green infrastructure. And so we're going to proceed. So I'm calling the meeting to order at 10:01, and I'm going to perform a roll call. Ms. Andrea Huffman.
Here.
Jennifer Duncan.
Here.
Susan Gay.
Here.
Myself, the chair, and we shall proceed. The first order of business on the agenda is to approve our minutes from the last meeting on May 18th, and with some corrections. But anyway, I hope you all have had a chance to read it, and if we're ready to approve, can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve with the amendment of Susan.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. And
The minutes that you send out that we received,
okay.
are those already corrected?
No. Well, I don't know. I sent them out with. I was going to make the change. Pencil the
Okay, so
change.
we need the corrected ones with the signature.
Okay.
So,
Can I make the correction here and then sign it? Is that okay?
you can.
Or you mean?
The only thing is, when I go to publish them onto the portal, it's not gonna see the corrections.
Oh, okay. Well, so what do you want? You just send you a corrected copy?
Yeah, send them over to me electronically.
I can do that. All right. I'll do it. Okay, very good. All right, so all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. No opposed. I think we have approved it. Okay. We did receive one piece of correspondence, I guess we can count that, of a resident who has apparently eradicated ivy in her yard that has been there for a number of years. And we certainly applaud her efforts, and would like to see certainly property owners heeding our concerns and to do what they can to alleviate this problem that is its removal is adds to the I think appearance and healthy condition of the trees. I don't know if anybody else has anything else to add. Well, I'm sure we'll be talking about this a little bit further along, but I just wanted to make mention of that. Okay, well, I'm going to go to the old business items. Some of these are certainly recurring items. So the first one having to do with discussion of the commemorative tree program and the donations and so forth. The only thing I wanted to mention, which I stand corrected on a comment that I made in a previous meeting, I believe it might be our last meeting, with regard to the tax deductibility of those who have contributed to the tree program, and it is indeed tax deductible. I was not aware that the city had basically made those donations legitimate in a way that they can be tax deductible. So I stand corrected, and whether we're not certain, or are we certain or not, that any of the materials that we have reflect that? And I guess if they don't, we may want to deal with that.
If it's not in the brochure, then I think it's in the letter that goes, but I guess I'm not
Okay,
totally positive.
well, that's good.
It's in the letter, but really the directive is you need to contact your
Oh, yeah, always. yeah.
tax consultant. So
Yeah,
making
right.
a blanket statement, you're
Right.
tax deductible.
Right. I mean,
Exactly, yeah.
We're
that's
not your
always the way.
accountant.
That's
yeah,
always
it's
the way.
like tax codes may apply.
Right, yeah,
something
right.
like that. Okay, right.
Yeah.
But anyway, I didn't want to go,
And the only other update I have there, I think Lynn is probably going to be giving us a report next month, but there was a recent donation came in for 1,000. I don't know what other donations may have come in, but,
Okay,
so,
that's
yep,
good.
donations are coming in all the time.
okay, and so when do we know, what did we say it was going to be quarterly?
I think that's what she said, yes.
Okay, but when would that next?
Well, so it would, I guess by the end of June, she would do
okay.
a report, and then it would be at our July meeting.
The fiscal quarters?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so I'll just say next fiscal quarter.
Well, fiscal or calendar, it's still the end of June.
Well, yeah, well, I'm looking at it that way. Okay, I mean, we have, when's the year start? April?
That's when our budget year starts.
Yeah, so maybe, it's either, we don't- it'll be July or
Funky,
June.
did you block out the 37 budget meetings? They're
I
that
think he did,
traumatic.
yeah.
Okay, all right. Thank you. We need charts and puppets to thoroughly explain this stuff. Okay, so I'm gonna move on from this. And I think the tree mapping project,
Yeah, I
that's just here. We don't have any real discussion
don't have any
about that, so. Okay, moving on. Discussion of vegetation initiative and possible lecture topics. We've been on this for a little while, and we have a number of topics that I think we're gonna discuss today, and I have one I want to share with you. But do you want to forge ahead?
Yes, if you pull up the screen, please, on sustainable landscaping. Okay, thank you very much. So I found this in some research, and this is a link for virtual classrooms that are free, videos that are, I think they were put together by a group in the Northern Virginia, while it's not Delaware. There are numerous numerous videos on, as it says, sustainable landscaping, best management practices, and as it reads techniques for design, construction, management, and management of landscapes. So I thought this would be a good educational site for those people who are interested in researching and looking for different kinds of landscaping for their yards here in the city. Thank you.
That's great. So have you had a chance to
Yes,
kind of
I've
scan through it and see?
yes, I've scanned. I went through it. It's really comprehensive, all different subjects, and I think it's a valuable asset and library for anybody who wants to do their gardening or landscape their yards here in the city.
Let me pose a question here. How would we, if we had materials like that, or I guess any kind of materials, either like handouts or links to online stuff, how would we do that with regard to having a space, let's say on the,
There's a trees page on the city website.
okay.
It's got some good
So it's just a matter of requesting that we have some,
It's really about trees, though. It's not about landscaping.
yeah, okay.
So I don't know how I don't know how committees get things on the city's website. I'm not sure the process
Okay.
of that.
Well,
Well, this is trees and green. It has both through the videos, and it's
well, one of the things I'm just trying to figure where I want to talk about this, but let's continue. But I'm gonna it's something anyway. So duly noted. Okay, but I'm gonna we'll probably continue this. So with aside from what you have, did you have something else you were?
no, I don't. But Andrea, do you have an update on the DENREC?
Is that appropriate now to talk about the?
Yeah,
update?
yeah. I
Okay.
guess so.
All right, so I think there was a letter, a short letter that was appended to the agenda. And I made contact with someone at Genrec who turned out to be exactly the right person. His name is, let me just get all my notes here. His name is Chris Bennett, and he is the Natural Resource Specialist for Invasive Species Control. And he has sent a letter. A short synopsis of that letter was appended. It was sent to me in an email, but he sent a more formal letter, which Susan has just managed to get out of my phone. So I think we should probably submit that as well. But the bottom line is that he said that we absolutely, the land is leased to the city of Rehoboth Beach, and he has no objection whatsoever to us removing invasive species. So I guess, would we like to think about restarting our Ivy League? That's a project that I think would be a really nice, it would be good publicity for the city to do something like that. And I guess I would put that forward as something that we should think about.
Well, I guess, I mean, we have an open forum here. I don't think there's any reason to, maybe we're just discussing these out of order or whatever, but with regard, I mean, I put on the agenda here to discuss about a caretaker group or something like that. So, I mean, that's where it would be, but I mean, that's what we're talking about. But, yeah, I think in conjunction with what city services, you know, are available and so forth, that I mean, if, it's not that we're considering doing something, you know, outside the parameters of that, you know, so it's just, but and I think it's going to take, you know, with this small group of people, you know, a little bit of time to plan and coordinate something like that. But yeah, I think this is something that. So explain to me. I've not been there, or at least I haven't been there recently. So what's the nature of that area near Deauville Beach?
Vines, ivy.
Okay.
It needs a cleanup, and he admitted it as such. He's seen it.
Okay.
And he said, you know, he's very very clear that he would love us to go in there. So I think we have at least a couple of people, master gardeners, and I'm hoping, Liz, at some point, maybe you'll be able to join us and supervise some of it. I don't know, what can I put you on the spot?
Well, that would have to come through my boss, obviously. But right now, that area would not be a high priority. So our focus is on the city-owned property first, and we still have work to do there. So I did make a start on it. We made a start on it this past winter and cut all the vines up to a certain section, starting at where the ocean outfall cleared out the land and over. But it's the whole floor is like cutting the ivy is easy and not super time consuming. The cleanup of the fallen brush and the fact that the whole place is carpeted with wisteria and vinca and English ivy and invasive miscanthus is the time consuming part. So I caution you, because if you go in and cut it all off the trees, I don't necessarily have the capacity to follow behind and treat every single area. So if you're fine going back year after year and doing it until we can make our way there, that's fine. And then also something that should be noted is a lot of the trees in there are the invasive Japanese black pines. So how much effort do we want to dedicate to trees that Chris's group is actually trying to eliminate?
Right. He was very clear on that.
Yeah, so one of the groups he used to manage, I don't know if he still does, went up and down. It was divided into the north and the south. In the south area, based out of Cape Henlopen, and they would do like Del Seashore, Fresh Pond, and all those. And we would kill the Japanese black pines when you're like riding down Route 1 towards the through Del Seashore. All the Japanese black pines on the left. We had a whole crew going through and cutting them down or poisoning them. So
I see it as
then,
long-term.
yeah, then to go and try and save them, I'm not sure how much sense that makes. But there are good trees in there too, cedars and oaks. So
Right.
Right, which we'd like to keep.
yeah, so it might be more of a focus on those rather than.
I think totally, Liz, at some point, perhaps some of us could walk with you and we could just, I do see it as a long-term thing, you know, and so we'll pick an area to
Everything's
focus on.
long-term.
We'll pick an area to focus on. And, you know, I hope that you'll lead the way in some ways, okay? And we'll provide the manpower. I mean, I've talked to a couple of master gardeners who are interested in helping, so.
Like I said, my priorities lie in the city-owned property,
Understood.
and we have a lot of work to
Understood.
do at Lake
Yeah.
Gerard
Yeah.
and Central
Yeah.
Park
No.
still, so
Yeah.
I don't feel like it's very prudent to commit to doing that area. Like I said,
Understood.
we started, but I really saw how much work it was when I went in there about 3 weeks ago to start treating it, and it was, I could only get so far with our allowances and the physical location because we're so close to the coast.
Right.
So there's a lot of things at play besides cutting them off trees. And if you guys are fine to cut the vines off the trees once a year, that'll make a huge difference, even if we don't treat what's on the ground.
Right.
When would you say would be the best time? Would it be the fall to go in? I mean, that's what,
It doesn't matter.
doesn't matter, okay.
No, I mean, spring, I would,
We miss spring.
honestly might be better now just because you'll be able to see all the poison ivy that's in there
Ah, yeah.
more easily, at least.
Okay, all right.
Because ticks are bad in that area too.
Okay.
I was
Thanks.
thinking maybe if we could figure out what would be the hottest day in July. You know,
Well, then you'd be in the shade, so it makes perfect sense.
it looked like
Okay.
the bridge over the River Kwai.
That's,
you know, so-
we'll give that some thought.
Yeah,
We do that stuff in the off season because that's when my part-time employee doesn't have the lawns to mow, so he focuses on the natural areas and pruning the trees,
Okay.
the street trees. So
Well,
that's
that's
why,
important.
logistically, that's why we do it then.
Okay, that's important information.
So we're still talking about ivy, right?
yeah, I mean,
Right.
it's ivy,
Wisteria.
but this, we're going to jump around, I guess,
So I can-
because we're talking about, we were really talking about education initiatives. This is really a, I don't know, a volunteer
Well-
activity kind of thing, but, I mean, I think they serve similar purposes, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's-
well, I just wanted to point out to everybody that the May 24th Lines in the Sand did have the article on English ivy, and
Truncated, but yes.
thank them for publishing it. And at the end of the article, they actually say, for more, or it reads, for more information about removing ivy, visit Tree Stewards, TREESTEWARDS.org. And that's the organization that provided the information in the write-up. So thanks to the city for publishing that in the Lines in the Sand.
Right, okay.
Are we talking now about the educational?
I'm completely confused now. I really didn't, yeah, we started there, we kind of,
We're still talking about the education.
yeah, right, so.
So I guess I'll continue with the information that I got from Chris Bennett. He suggested, I of course asked him after he had been so gracious with this, whether he would be willing to speak here.
Okay.
And he suggested to me that a better person would be somebody named Bill McAvoy, who is Bill McAvoy is the botanist of Delaware. And I wrote a note describing, which I will share with everyone, describing what we wanted, which is what he asked me to do, and he said he would forward it to Bill. So I'm awaiting info, okay? I did suggest September, and I guess one of the things I want to ask people is, we've traditionally done early September or October for our lectures. Is that correct? Am I right there?
think there's any, I think it was in the fall.
It was the fall, right?
Yeah, I don't
Okay, yeah,
know.
which is what I asked him for. So, anyway, I'm awaiting word from him, but that sounds as if, he may be a really good speaker for us.
Was there, I think last month, there was some discussion about getting in touch with Ashley Melvin from Denver,
No,
Forestry Service.
right, I wanted to get Ashley to give me,
Okay, so
but
that was the means to
it turned
do
out that
that.
I found it through another route, so.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Any other comments on this immediate topic? Because I'm gonna move on here a little bit. So now, with regard to the discussion on the campaign of IV infiltration, which sort of, all these sort of dovetail into one another, I think, to a certain degree. One of the, I wanted to mention something else. I guess it would go here. I don't know if this would necessarily be, I had a conversation, I'm going to backtrack. I had a conversation with our Sturgis Dodge, and she updated me about a number of different things, but she had a meeting with, somebody's going to have to tell me this guy, Mr. Downs with the Water Department. Do you know who that is?
Robert.
What's his name?
Robert Downs,
Robert- Yeah.
yeah, he's the
right.
head of the water
Yeah,
department.
she had some concerns about kind of water, drinking water issues and stuff like that, and she had the opportunity to visit him and got a little tour of the plant and all that kind of stuff, which is something I desperately want to do. So I'm going to get in touch with him too, because all that stuff I find fascinating. Aside from the fact that it's something I should know a little more about and so forth. So I can. If I set that up, I'm
I
happy.
would be very interested. I
Okay.
had called them
Yeah.
during COVID to ask about, I had somebody who was interested in doing it, and they were very interested, and then they were told that during COVID they couldn't do it.
Yeah,
So I think
yeah.
that'd be great. I'd like to go.
Well, anyway, I'm actually on topic. I'm getting there. I'm going to land the plane, but he offered to as far as an educational initiative with regard to lawns and watering and sort of things water related with regard to plants and so forth. So, and he seems to be, or at least from the discussion that Sturgis had, concerned about the aquifer. One of the things he talked to her about, which I thought was kind of interesting, is that people, he gets, I don't think they're necessarily that often, but concerns about water pressure, especially in the mornings. And he has determined that cause has to do with people scheduling their lawn sprinkling times with people's showering times, and that we don't really have any kind of policy with regard to that. So it has other, obviously effects. And so, and that's just one example, but to the extent that I think it'd be helpful for, in some fashion, and that's the other sort of question. I think we've been sort of thinking in terms about an education topic that we do it at some time of year and we bring the person in, which we can do. So I'm just trying to kind of figure out, like, what's your vision of what we would do, and would it make sense, let's say, for us to have a Zoom meeting in lieu of a live meeting that we would schedule on such and such a date or something. I think we have some flexibility with how we might do that.
We can't, I see Ann over there shaking
we
her
can't
head.
do
Yeah,
that?
we cannot do Zoom meetings. No. It has to be live.
Well,
Well, it's got to be in person? Okay.
what you're talking would dovetail somewhat with the thing that I raised, the group that I raised last time we met, which was the lawn, the Association of Landscapers. The Association of Landscapers. That would work, I think, together with, that may be a
Right.
topic that we could put together.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, here's my question. If this, would there be any means to do that if it was basically like as we were mentioning about the sustainable landscaping, where we're directing somebody to a resource, could he be that resource that if he does something sort of independently, you know, like a talk, not a two-way talk, but basically like a one-way talk with regard to a topic? And I'm not necessarily him or anybody really, you know, that we could, you know, like, let's say it's a YouTube video or something like that.
Located in Delaware?
I'm sorry.
Is he located in Delaware?
He works for the city.
Talking about Robert.
Oh, Robert, we can bring him in.
Right, but what I'm getting at is would we have the flexibility to have him provide, like, I'm thinking almost like a recurring thing, where he would maybe every couple months or something like that.
That would be up to the Public Works Director.
Right, yeah, I'm just trying to figure out what could we do. I'm spitballing at this point.
And why would he come in what would he do every couple months?
I don't know, another topic, you know, a sort of
Water related.
water related, but in conjunction with what we're doing, you know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
I mean, I think from what Sturgis was describing, I had kind of a lengthy conversation, that he was multi-interest, that's a terrible comment, but he had a broad range of expertise and whatever, so that I thought would be helpful. Okay. Anyway.
Might want to consider something like a lecture week in the fall.
Okay, I mean, that's something else.
Bring him in,
Yeah.
bring the person from the state in that Andrea was talking about, and that way, you know, if you have an audience that comes for one, you know,
Okay,
they'll stay for the others.
yeah.
Yeah, we could have multiple lectures, I think, on the same day. Remember that if we do that, we have such success. The two we've done have been extremely well attended, well regarded. It's wonderful to be able to keep that up. It has to take the place of our monthly meeting, though.
Right, okay, all right.
And because of staff time and everything.
Right, I was
But, yeah,
thinking,
we have to plan
what
ahead for
else
that.
could we do, or
Yeah.
possibly? And I would think this would this not be an appropriate venue for it? I
Oh,
mean,
this room? Absolutely. That's
yeah,
where we've
right, I
done
mean,
the
I
other two.
don't think we're gonna have like standing room or anything, right?
Well, we did for
never know.
Talamay.
Did? Okay, well, then, you know, I don't know,
But-
but
but-
that's, I'm just trying to envision that, okay.
Yeah. It depends on the topic, it depends on the speaker, it depends on the time of year, you know. But we've typically done them in October.
Okay, well,
And
well,
maybe we should shoot for October for
Yeah, I said
the big
September.
ticket
Yeah.
person, and then the
Yeah.
others who can educate us all.
And this would be the botanist you're talking about, Andrew, right? And what would his topic be?
What I suggested to him was with the enactment of the Invasive Species Act, homeowners are looking to, you know, find alternatives to old standbys.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it's that
okay,
that
yeah,
kind of thing.
Right, okay.
okay, good. Where are we? I have a special line item here with regard to discussion of the is this for me or is this for her?
Campaign.
Okay. When the campaign on IV infiltration, and obviously we have, as mentioned, got a placement of an article in the Lines in the Sand, and your efforts at the farmers, no, that was something different, but I mean, I didn't know we were thinking about doing something that, you know,
We were given the option of a table in June,
okay.
and I didn't do anything further on it because the two of us did it last time, and I wondered whether there was anyone else
Yeah,
who'd
right,
be
well, I'm
around.
just saying, we bring it up and figure out, what, you know, so,
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about sometime this month again, or?
Yeah, it's sometime in June, yes.
Right.
It's now June. I have to get back to her to find out which week, but we've got 3 weeks left, and she told me
Yeah.
there was sometime in June.
I gotta say, Tuesdays are my worst day.
Yep.
And I'm usually not here, so, I mean, I can do it, but,
I can do it, I'm here.
Yeah, I'm here
okay,
too.
so, I mean,
right,
and
all right.
and we have other members. you
I can
know,
do it.
that-
All right,
that-
so
I'll
there'll
help.
there are two, so I'll go and see what she's got available
Yeah,
then. Okay,
I want to go back to the
Okay.
last subject just for a second. So if the lecture series or lecture day is to be held on the same day at the same time as this committee meets, then the date would be October 13th. So,
It doesn't have to be the same day, it would just
We would
replace,
we could
we would
schedule it.
replace the meeting. But I mean, ideally, I guess.
ideally, looking
Okay.
ahead, it would be good
Yeah.
if you have people who have tight schedules to get started and pin down the date for those with the tightest schedules.
There, are you talking about how long would this meeting
Oh,
be held for?
It's typical,
Because the planning commission.
I know, yeah.
can't produce-
Right, of course.
Yeah,
The
it's
last few have been about an hour and a half, I would say. Two at the very most, but I think the last one was an hour and a half. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. You can't go on much longer than that anyway with attention.
Yeah, we start to pass
People have other
out.
things to do.
Okay. I'm just trying to frame the discussion and frame the expectation,
Yes.
right? All right. Any other comments from the assembled group here? Okay. And then, part and parcel with that, with regard to what we were talking before with the possible something we may do as a volunteer activity. How do we do that? How do you envision, give me a sense of like what you think we would need, in terms of numbers of people, resources, time, I mean, I don't know if we know, I mean, obviously we don't know definitively, but I'm just thinking in terms of, in the past, how many people did we usually have with like the Ivy League?
Oh, you're talking about the Ivy.
Yeah, I'm on to
Yeah, okay.
item E here.
Okay, yeah.
I guess we had, Susan, were you there
With the Ivy League?
with the Ivy League?
No, I don't think
Okay.
so.
I was.
I would say, Liz, were there 6 or 7 of us?
And how many times? It was more than once, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a few times.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people came out the first one, and then it kind of dwindled to like,
'Cause it's
5
hard, it's
people.
hard
Yeah.
work.
Yeah, that's right, it is
Yeah.
hard work, yeah.
I mean, even 5 people can make a difference, but
Right,
I would
but
say
I
it
mean, I
was,
think we.
I would say it was 5 to 8.
Let's just say between
5 and 10.
5 and 15. I mean, I think we can get more people,
probably
I mean,
find
it's, I don't want them standing around, and whatever, but I'm just saying, if you, I'm just trying to think in terms of the scope of what we hope to accomplish, how many people would be helpful, that kind of thing. Because you can get too many people and it's unmanageable and all that.
Are you talking about just that one area across from
That's
the
what you're
beach?
asking me about, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that area,
As an example.
I don't think 15 people will fit in there. I think
Okay, all
it's
right.
not that big. You think?
well, it depends on what, if you're just talking about going just kind of to the tennis court, like, we've already done that section, but just that depth, then, yeah, you wouldn't need 15. But if you're talking on the other side of the parking lot, that's pretty large, like where the snack shop and all that
Oh,
is.
So
okay.
depending, I would say depending upon how much manpower we have, we ought to be able to apply
Right.
that many.
Depends on how many dates and times you want to do it.
Right. I also think, Liz, that, we would want to continue perhaps your work, or I would want you to really choose the area that we would focus on.
You can see really clearly where we stopped. Like,
Okay.
there is a line, like a obvious line where it goes from cleaned up with some logs we left strategically on the ground to like dense thickets.
Well, I guess the question is, would you like us to continue working from where you stopped? Is that
Yeah,
what
I
makes
think
the
that
most
makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
from left to right, essentially, like going down towards the seawall.
Okay.
And then in, like towards the ocean.
Okay.
It was kind of how we
Yeah.
did it, like left to right and then into the depth.
I will take, I'm happy to go if anyone wants to go with me and take a look at what you're, and scope out.
I'd like to see.
You want to go? All right.
Yeah, I
so
do wanna go.
We'll go. All right. So
I'll be
we'll
here
go
this
and
week.
scope out the area.
Because here's what I'm saying here. You tell me. I mean, Liz has expressed that due to the fact that it's not a city location that.
And it is. But
It
we
is,
don't
but
own
it, yeah, all I'm saying is, I think it's an ideal opportunity, because it's not something that you feel you feel like you have more pressing, places to go than this, and I get that. That's perfectly understandable. However, to me, it's highly visible to people, and I think if something is done and it gets cleaned up and fixed and made pretty and all that kind of stuff, it's I think you get some mileage out of it, and that's kind of what I'm looking at, is that we can use this to create public awareness, so it isn't like we're doing something dumb and then we're going to go home and that's the end of it. I think we're going to accomplish something. I think it's helping achieve something for the benefit of the city, helping achieve something for the benefit of the city departments, and I think it's a win, so that's kind of what I'm looking at.
Yep.
And if you think that's short-sighted, or we could do something better that would be have better impact or whatever, great, but that's what I'm saying. I think this is something that we can handle it, and we can get a good outcome from it. So
I mean, I think it's a laudable goal to get the ivy,
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
cut the window, so to speak, off the trees. Definitely. I don't think anybody would disagree that that's a useless or a bad thing to do. I think you got to be careful using the word pretty when we're talking about dunes in a woods. But beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So an area
by
that
beauty,
is,
I don't.
I know what you mean. You're meaning like you look at it and you're like, wow, that somebody did a good job, like restoring that. Restoration is what it is. It's ecological restoration of a site.
I mean, I guess the question, Liz, is would you rather have us, Jennifer put together a list of ivy, city trees, I guess, that needed ivy. Would you rather have us go and do some of that work? Is that more helpful to you?
Like adopt a tree kind of
Yeah,
thing?
like adopt a tree. I've got a couple that I didn't send off, but I have a couple that I've looked at.
I mean, I would say if you're, I think it'd be easier to tackle a large project together first.
Right.
Okay.
But I don't think it's a bad idea. It's just that, are you 100% sure that it's a municipal tree or located on city property, and somebody's not going to come out and yell at you that you're trespassing,
trust
whether
me.
they think you are or aren't? Because that happens to me quite on. Like, there's not a year that goes by where I don't get complaints. They
Trust
think they own to the road or whatever it may be.
We would never touch a tree if we hadn't spoken to you, Liz. I mean, this would all go through you first
Okay.
before we ended up in front of any tree.
But I can't tell you how people are going to act if they. I just know, unfortunately, not everybody is happy when you do stuff on the right of way, even if it's good stuff or the right stuff. So
But again, if it's a city tree, it's a city tree. And if you tell us it's a city tree,
I just don't want people to be in the position where somebody comes out and is aggressive or angry. That's all.
Okay, makes
And
sense.
unfortunately, out of 100 trees, that's, say if that's what it is, that's going to happen. Or maybe they'll be a lot nicer to volunteers, possibly. That might be true.
Well,
we'll wear little buttons that say volunteer.
Yeah.
And I think we could consider, we talk to neighbors in advance, just to say, we're thinking about coming out here on
Yeah.
such and such, and,
Actually, that's a really good idea, too.
yeah.
I mean,
so-
listen, if I'm gonna prune a city tree or like cut ivy off it, I don't notify the 13 nearby neighbors that we're gonna be there for 10 minutes working. I mean, that would be impossible to get anything done.
Right.
But I think you just need to take it with a grain of salt, and just, if somebody comes out and is angry, you just say, we're very sorry, we thought it was a city tree, we're a volunteer group, we won't touch it, and just
Yeah,
disengage.
Gotcha.
But like I said, they'll probably be nice now that I've said that, they'll probably be all thankful and nice to you, and you'll never encounter anybody angry. So
okay. All right, I'm jumping all over the place on this thing. I'm skipping, well, I'm not skipping it, but I mean, I want to just basically go back to the old business about the suggestion. I think we talked about it briefly, but I don't think we came to any conclusion with regard to some kind of a tree program of providing, finding out if there's a source and whether we can get trees at a certain time of year, let's say, and that's the way I'm kind of looking at it, that, you know, at a either low or no or reduced price, you know, for trees. I mean, it was something that Mr. Gaynor had suggested at a previous meeting. And I know that there had been some pushback about something like that in the past. Is that something we're interested in or not interested in? I mean, I didn't think it was like a bad idea, but I didn't know how.
There's not been negative. We brought that up. Perhaps Susan remembers a few, and maybe Andrea, a few
Yes.
years ago
Yes.
Right.
through Arbor Day Foundation, I believe. They do a tree program where you can order certain trees and then they'll deliver them to you and you can provide them at no cost or whatever cost you want, or you can deliver them to the person in trucks or whatever suits you. And they have a lot of different groups and organizations across the U.S. that have signed up for that. Forget what it was. At the time, it was called like Trees for Utility, but they expanded it since then.
Okay.
And it just, we never took off with it.
Delmarva Power offers
Yeah.
during the year, they offer
Yep,
very
they-
small trees, but they do
Yes.
offer them.
Hey, I've planted those trees and they lived and are large, so go
Great,
figure.
Yeah. So is it just a matter of making that information available to people?
Well,
and
or
kind
did,
of
or did we want
coordinating?
to, did we want to kind of
I'd like
package
to
it?
do, yeah, I'd like to do more than make the information available.
Right, yeah.
I'd like to
And
see
obviously,
delivery.
again, this would be something that probably would best occur in the fall, I assume, you know, for
I think
planting.
they do it in the spring and fall. if I
Spring and
remember.
fall, okay.
Do you think they do it in the fall?
I thought that's when it was, but.
Okay.
I haven't looked at the
Arbor Day's
program.
Probably spring, actually.
Yeah, I haven't looked at the program. I know it's expanded because I still get their emails, but I haven't really delved into it. So I know it still exists and is bigger now.
Could you forward that email that you're getting?
I mean, it's only like quarterly or something, but yeah, if I get one, I'll try and remember to send it to you. It's nothing but a newsletter update.
Okay.
I think it was Energy Saving Trees is what the program was called.
And
through the
obviously, if
Arbor Day
there's any, you know, costs involved, you know, we'll clear it with, you know, I mean, I'll have a talk with Lawrence about it or whatever too.
Well-
I mean, I'm not anticipating that, but that there would be some ancillary costs associated if we were, I mean, we're just talking about it now.
If we do what? Like, are
I'm
you guys
just saying,
talking
well,
about?
I think if we know about something like this and we think, you know, it would be, you know, beneficial for residents and we can make it known and kind of promote it and stuff like that. But if there's more to it than that, I want to know, you know.
Yeah, so like Delmarva Power, if you go, I don't know if they still do it, but if you go online, typically a couple times a year, you can sign up to get the tiny little twigs shipped to you, and they're like 12 inches in height. But you can run what I thought you were talking about is running your own program through
Well,
them.
right, but that's what I'm saying. That's a
Well, yeah, there'd be
that's
costs
a
of that.
possibility too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'd have to have either we'd have to have delivery staging area if you wanted them then to be delivered to people.
Yeah.
You'd have to have availability for that, and then there'd be the cost not in addition to the location and labor, there'd be the cost per tree as well.
Yeah.
And so if that was going to be free, full cost, or split down the middle, or whatever it may
Yeah,
be.
right. Because I don't know if you remember, I guess they're still doing it, but like someone at it occurred at Denrec. I assume they were behind it, but they gave out these. I think we had to pay for them, but like the rain barrels.
Oh,
and-
they were
and the
like $100.
compost
Yeah,
things
they were
and
like a
stuff.
deal. Like
Yeah,
Denrec
it was-
got us.
Yeah.
They stopped that during COVID. He never
Yeah, right.
restarted it.
So that's not happening anymore. But
No, they did compost and the rain barrels, and I contacted him not long ago, and he said the program kind of folded.
I think
basically.
it is a perfect additional thing to do for Arbor Day. I truly do.
okay.
I really think we should be giving out trees. I think
Okay.
so.
See,
Wanna put it on the-
I just feel like we're jam packed for Arbor Day.
Well, I
Like,
agree with you, but
I just don't know where you're going to find the people in time to do a whole. I would see it in the fall more than tacked on to Arbor Day, Earth Day extravaganza, because we're just.
okay.
And I think there ought to be some exploration of, do people want trees? And I will say that because there was a group a few years ago, it was pre-COVID, that was doing this, I guess, as a part of the city. And there weren't, it wasn't the part of the city, it was a separate organization.
Tremendous
The
program.
Tremendous program, and there weren't very many takers.
Right.
Yeah, there was like less than
One or
10
two.
people.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what? I'd take one or two, you know? I mean,
Well, I'm just saying,
No, you have to gauge, yeah, the interest.
is there an interest? Yeah. But at minimum, you could put the sites up of, you can get trees for free from here or there.
Yeah,
if they're
but like,
available.
here's what the problem, you would have to have like a sign up, because we can't just order 100 trees and then 3 are picked up. What are we
Right.
gonna do with 97 trees?
Right.
all right, so fall would be best.
I mean, maybe everybody else can disagree with that. I just think we're
I
already.
agree.
I think it's the best time to plant trees.
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple trees you don't want to plant in the fall, a couple of species, but it shouldn't affect if that program runs then. And nothing to say we have to use that program, and we can't just ask a grower, like, give us what you have on special right now.
Right. So, all right, but I mean, it's going to take a little bit of effort on our part to figure out what we want to do, but I
Down
I don't
for,
think it's
you know,
I don't think it's a
I-
bad
I
idea.
think- I think it's a great idea.
Okay. All right. Have we exhausted this topic? I think we have. Yes. So I would suggest for under new business, let's talk about the fire escaping.
Fire Scaping, could you please put up the other picture? Slide.
I just spelled that right. Fire escaping, is that right?
No idea.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Thank you. Okay, what you're looking at on the screen is Sunset Beach, North Carolina. You will see that their houses are probably almost as close, if not closer, than ours are in the city. They don't have very many trees, but when it comes to fires, and I mentioned this before, but I wanted to revisit it and bring the picture because maybe people are not familiar with the landscape there at Sunset Beach. There aren't many trees. Houses are close. We have lots of trees and our houses are close. So I'm back on pine straw. Sunset Beach put out a pine straw advisory warning. It has determined, along with many other jurisdictions, that pine straw used as a ground cover around the base of a structure is a serious fire hazard. And they go on to say, this past July, a grill containing embers from a previous fire, grill fire, tipped over and ignited pine straw around the grill. The fire quickly spread to surrounding homes and eventually destroyed one home on the island and damaged 4 other houses. Municipalities in the area in the state of North Carolina, and I'm not talking neighborhoods that are necessarily filled with pine trees, but neighborhoods like Sunset Beach cannot ban it, but they can strongly recommend that you don't do this. And I'm not talking about pines from pine trees necessarily. What I'm talking about, and I think they are talking about, are the bales of pine needles that are now fashionable to spread around a yard and in a yard. It's cheap and it looks pretty, but it will catch fire. They recommend the alternative is regular mulch if you need it. And so I just wanted to address this again because pine straw is very flammable, dries out fast, it's faster combustion, and I think I have now tried to make the point that it's not a good idea to bring in bales of pine straw and put them in your yard. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to ask a question. maybe Liz can address this or respond to this, but pine straw has no sort of plant nutritional value, does it? I mean, in terms of a mulch that can sort of,
It's organic, so
Yeah,
I
but-
would
well, but I
assume
mean,
it would decompose into something.
yeah, but it's not like a mulch that might have some organic material that kind of feeds the surrounding plants and
The
things.
regular shredded hardwood mulch is the best thing because it regulates the temperature and holds in moisture. Those are
Okay, okay.
And stamps out weed competition too. You
Right,
don't
right.
want to have turf right up to the trees because then you have competition for the
Right.
roots. But it is a popular, because of the amount of pine trees here, it is I don't want to say popular, but it is seen on properties. Not a majority by any means.
Okay,
I'd say it's more like geographically focused in certain
yeah.
areas.
I'm sure there's a good, better, best, kind of
Yeah,
hierarchy or whatever.
no, I'm not talking about our regular pine trees that are just in our neighborhoods. I'm talking
No,
about the people who are bringing in bales of it
Yeah.
and putting 6 inches deep, and it actually does kill everything, and it kills the acid and the nutrients in the ground itself, so,
Yeah, people use that, I think, when they have, most of the time I've seen is when they have yards that have pine trees because the needles fall and they don't want to spend the time cleaning them up off the mulch.
Yeah,
That's what I think. I mean,
yeah, okay.
I don't use them in my house. But, and we don't have them in any of the city spots. And I'm not
I
sure
just
about
wanted to kinda
pricing. It
know.
might be cheaper. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe cheaper to grab a bale of straw. I mean, I know they sell them at all the landscape places. And go right to Wharton's and grab it.
Okay. Well, thanks.
There was one other, Andrea, didn't you have some announcement about the hose?
Oh,
Public announcement?
Yeah, how about it?
How about it?
Liz, I want to thank you for providing a hose.
Oh, that's no problem. Thought something bad had happened and it exploded or something.
Not at all. I was waiting for the appropriate moment, so, she just paved the way for me. So thank you, Liz. It's made a great difference.
It's made life a little easier, huh? Yes. Yeah, I saw it coiled up and I was like, I know Andrea's been here using it.
I have.
It's your happy hose.
It is my happy hose.
Well, and those trees look really,
They are,
they've had a good spring.
yes, they
Well, they certainly had a good soaking yesterday.
Oh, I know,
We
it
had
rained
like
so much.
3 hours of rain.
Yeah, that was much needed.
It had been pretty dry, actually.
No, I know. Yeah,
All right.
it's going to be dry all next week, too.
Well, let me pose a question to our committee members. Do you have any comments or suggestions or any sort of outside things? There's one thing I wanted to talk about, which I'll talk about in a minute, but nothing. I wanted to share, this isn't I think this will be something for the future, a future discussion, but there was comment made, Susan maybe back me up on this a little bit, but there was a comment made at the last environmental committee meeting by one of their members regarding combining.
Yeah, well, we got, and then they sent you the email.
I'm-
I guess they had a discussion about it at the meeting. I didn't see the meeting, but I heard it.
Okay, right. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know, just inform you about it or whatever, and it's something that we can talk about or not, or whatever, but the suggestion was that we somehow combine Earth Day celebrating and the Arbor Day celebrating, because they're basically a week apart or something like that. And would it make sense? I don't think that was, I don't know to the extent of how critical that was or how important that was, or they were making the suggestion, and I just wanted to bring it to everyone here. And I don't have it on the agenda, so it's not something we can really talk about. But if you think that's a good idea or a bad idea, or it has any merit, or are there aspects of both that would make sense that we would combine, and I'm thinking more in terms of combining whatever we do with the environmental committee, if they had some kind of activity or something that they wanted to do, or I mean, again, it's kind of big picture kind of an idea or whatever. So, but for, that would go under my, discuss at next meeting or whatever, but I just want to get it out there. So I don't know if Liz had any comments with regard to that, or just wait until the next time or whatever.
I would just say the same thing I said about our tree giveaway, is that we need to be, Arbor Day is so much work for, and like, I'm not even saying me.
Right, right.
I mean, Ashley and Andrea and were all day, and I know the other Jackie, and I know the other volunteers, we were a half a day. So I want us to be careful in over committing to expanding events where they work really well and we're getting a lot out of them. And it's, Arbor Day, we have such a great relationship bringing together the city, a city committee, the 200 kids, some of their parents, and the Art League. Parents, grandparents, and
It's a great model.
it really is, and I'm just,
And a band.
yep.
Right.
Oh, that's part of the necessity of the celebration. But yeah, there's a lot of moving parts, and I think we just need to be cautious whether or not it's great ideas to do other things. They may be fantastic, but like this year, for example, we did them in the same week. So I had an Earth Day project I run through, I help a volunteer group with, and then I had that, and then also within one calendar week, we had the Sister City celebration. So we have a recipe that works, not to say it can't be improved or expanded, but I'm just wary of that, like, you're only one person. We can only do so much. Not to say it wouldn't make sense and be worth exploring.
No, and that was sort of my idea that, I think they were thinking, well, it would kind of make sense if you did this, but I don't know how much they know about how sort of established our Arbor Day
Well, yeah, and I don't think any of them.
activities are, you know what I mean?
Never,
Yeah, I don't think I've seen anybody in their committee participate, so they probably don't know the
Yeah,
extent
so
of it.
I'm more than happy to talk about it or whatever.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely a good thing to bring up next meeting.
So,
Okay,
Yeah.
put that on the agenda for the next.
okay. And I think I've listed some of the things that I think we want to continue to talk about, but if there was anything else anybody had, no? Okay. Yeah. I want to respond, I want to ask, we rarely have people come visit us, but if you had to invite any citizen comment, if you're just here for the ride? Okay, okay, great. Any other, okay, so our next meeting is
July 14th?
14th, next meeting, okay. And you told me, I think we've achieved greatness.
Just under an hour here.
Did you have anything else?
I will not be here on the 14th.
Oh, you want? Okay, well, we'll have to make sure that somebody else has.
Not at Sunset Beach, I hope.
No.
We'll see.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you all. I'm adjourning the meeting at, like 11:58 maybe.
No, 10:58.
Oh, 10:50, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm still on.